saludos y bienvenidos a todos que los acompañan esta tarde y están compartiendo con nosotros en Cultura Elevada, que es una serie web enfocada en educar y a unir a la comunidad latina a través de los beneficios médicos, el impacto social y el crecimiento económico de la planta del cannabis. Hoy nosotros celebramos la cultura hispana y más de todo que estamos en el mes de la hispanidad. Hoy nosotros tenemos una invitada, vamos a darle unos segunditos a todo el mundo para esos que lo están viendo, que los compartan con sus amistades y familiares. Y también siempre pueden ver el replay en nuestro canal de YouTube de M4MM o visitando nuestra página de Facebook M4MM United. Nosotros estuvimos una semana bien busy. Vamos a tener hoy un episodio un poquito más Spanglish y tuvimos que cancelar de la semana pasada, pero pudimos tener la coordinación de nuestra invitada, que ella es Adelia Carrillo. Ella es la directora y cofundadora de la plataforma de eventos Eventai. Y también tiene su evento que une a las mujeres, Blunts and Brushes. Ella es una figura dentro de esta industria que está haciendo y moviendo muchas montañas para nosotros las mujeres y más de todo las mujeres que somos la minoría como latinas. Por favor, Delia, si quieres acompañarlos a nosotros para que los conozcan. Today we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to switch over to English. But si ustedes los están uniendo con nosotros, por favor, sigan a Delia para que aprendan más de ella, los eventos que están en su ciudad. So Nicole, if you can bring up Adelia. Hey!
Hi. I will work on it. Next time in a year, we'll be in Spanish.
Don't worry. The most important thing is that we get out the message and that we highlight that we have so many Latins, Latinos, Latinas, Hispanics that are in our community and that we're doing so many great things. I'm super excited because I just came back from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, and it was amazing to see how many of us Latinos are championed in so many different industries. But yet, the one industry that nobody spoke about but was very curious was the cannabis industry. Wow. And when I would tell them at first, it would kind of be a little standoffish, like, oh, wow, cannabis? But then when I would tell them that we work within technology, like your platform, that we work with attorneys, accountants, it was like mind-blowing to them.
Wow.
So you're outside of that whole mind conception that people have of like, oh, cannabis industry, you have to either be a cultivator or retailer, but you're very different and you're kind of like in your own lane. So tell us a little bit more about you, how you got into this industry and what you do.
Awesome. Yes. Well, thank you again, Mariella. My name's Adelia Carrillo. I actually was in the consumer electronic industry. Again, never thought I would be in the cannabis industry. I love tech. I love innovation. But I was really building a career in the consumer electronic space. What brought me to cannabis was more of a personal journey and my route as a medical patient. It started off as my fiance and I, we found out we were pregnant. And unfortunately, we had a lot of complications and led to emergency surgery. And, after that, there's a road to recovery and medical prescriptions. And, from a physical approach and a mental approach, going through all those emotions, what they wanted to give me just didn't really work for me. And so after a year of just being really full of like anxiety, my healing wasn't going properly in my body, I decided to try cannabis. I was at a kind of last resort and ended up looking and learning about the medical benefits. I knew about cannabis growing up in high school. I experimented but at that point in my life, I was very uneducated. I my fiance is the one who suggested it, and I laughed at him. I was like, what? Like, I'm going to get the munchies and just giggle the whole time. What do you like? This can help me. Like, I was really just I didn't know, I just didn't know. And you don't know what you don't know. But I was ready for a change. I lost who I was again, just mentally, physically, all these things. And I wanted to live again. And it did. It changed my life. I did a 180 in the human that I am. And after on that path, I was like, I want to be a part of this. How can I help? How can I spread the knowledge or maybe change perspectives? You made a good point on, especially when we speak to the Latino community about cannabis, it's we're grown up a certain way. We don't say it like I know. It took me a long time to open up to my parents that I was in this space because I knew that I thought they would judge me. I thought that they would think they would just think of me as quote unquote a drug dealer or whatever their mindset was. But finally, after time, I ended up telling them, and they understood, and they were like, "We see the benefit. We see you're a different human." So there was that. So that's good. I had the conversation.
I still don't, like. Obviously, my mom knows, and she and my grandmother, and they've even tried like edibles and the tinctures. Yep. But I still like when I step outside, I still like don't tell them like where I'm going. I get nervous. Like, I'm just going outside. That was my question. Yeah. So it's a stigma, yes. And it's hard because we grew up being told like, one, you're going to go to jail and, you're going to become like, your life will be lost. Like you try it and like, you'll just like die. Like, my grandmother was from one extreme to the next. Yeah. So to have to find a different perspective to it in our household, in our community is like, but I raised you, Ro. Why would you do this?
Yeah, so true. Exactly. And that's what it was. It was those fears in my head, and then of course I have a big family. So it's like telling my tias, my tios, like I didn't ever have the chance. And I don't know if I ever would have told my grandma when she was here. That was a hard one. So I'm glad you had that conversation with yours. But yeah, so down that path, it led me to launching my first company, which was a digital media company. Again, it was still in my sector of tech, but I also always had a passion for media. So we launched Direct Cannabis Network, and basically we covered tech, startup, and innovation in the cannabis industry. We wanted to again showcase entrepreneurs, but also keep the heart in what they were doing, and really highlight on this startup journey. And it was fun. It was a wild ride. We got to really meet so many different entrepreneurs. A lot of them, unfortunately, businesses have pivoted or closed, or, that's what happens in startup life. Even to that journey, I ended up closing that company after 7 years. So, it's all part of the journey of being an entrepreneur. But that was really what kind of evolved and how it began for me.
And you're out in the West Coast. Now, as we're starting to see more of the East Coast kind of pivot into the industry, and now we're like the hot markets emerging, but you've kind of seen it all. I mean, you're out West. Mm-hmm. How have you seen like the lifespan? Like you said, you've seen businesses go in and out, and now they're saying that this is like one of the worst times, and everybody's kind of like bootstrapping it to stay afloat. So how did you see that evolution of the industry? And then how do you see it now with the East Coast? Like, do you see they're making mistakes, or like it's the same thing?
Well, yeah, a lot has changed, unfortunately, I think a lot of things on the West Coast that we had hopes for, didn't come to fruition. Again, a lot of our colleagues and businesses, we are seeing struggle. And this is just due to the regulation and decisions that were made, when it comes to policy and again, regulation. One thing I've noticed is, there was a point where on the West Coast, there was a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity when it came to products, when it came to businesses that were out there. And I believe that we'll be able to get creative again down the road, but I feel like everybody had to get very lean and very specific and very targeted, and a lot of that creativity I don't think was for majority of consumers, which obviously you need to cater to what's going to sell. So I feel like right now there's not as much creativity going on, and again, it's because we have to survive. It's what's going to sell right now, what's going to keep us afloat. So I see some changes with that kind of landscape, but from now watching the East Coast, I feel that they have looked at what hasn't worked and they're doing the best they can. I had a lot of hopes for New York. Unfortunately, some things are not panning out of how we all thought they would, and but there's still an opportunity for some things to change over there. I moved to Arizona, and even that, that's still state by state, and there's a differentiator in what California has done and what Arizona's doing, and I see some perks and some good things happening here. But it also made me realize being in California, I was in my own bubble. We're in this huge state, and all these things are going on, and I was really in a bubble right there too. So I've just learned a lot, and again, I think right now it is that time. It's that moment where we're going to see a lot more businesses go. We're going to see a lot more acquisitions. We're also going to just see many people just trying to hang on. I think that's really what it is. A lot of people are just head down, focusing on what they got to do to keep the momentum, to keep their companies afloat, and should try to make it through. And if they can make it through, that's when things are going to start propelling for a lot of these businesses.
So with Event High, that's more of like a platform for events, and are you seeing that as well? Like, are you seeing more people open up to like all types of events and being more into the culture? Like, I'm down now in Florida, and I mean, Miami, we're medical, but you wouldn't think that. I mean, we have all types of events going on. You can find anything you want. Down in Puerto Rico, they have events going on as well now. So how are you seeing the impact through your platform?
I love that. I love just hearing about that because we see it too. Obviously 2 years ago when things got shut down, we were heavily impacted. We saw it nationally. We're in 48 states. And so we saw events canceling left and right and nobody knowing what to do. That was right after 2019. 2019, things were really picking up, especially here at Event High. We saw so many events, so many new states coming on with different events. And then we went through that. And now we're actually we're surpassing those numbers that we were hitting in 2019. So we're like, okay, this is awesome. That means more events are happening. More people are coming together in regards to ticket sales that are happening, in regards to event creators that are hosting events throughout Event High, and to how many events are happening in these states. We definitely see an increase. We definitely see a diversity of type of events. It's not just conferences and educational events. There's networking events, there's sessions, there's health and wellness type events. There's so many different avenues of how people are bringing together how event creators are bringing people together through this plant. And every event in their own way is educating. Even these sessions, there's education to some sort of component in these events. And I think that's powerful. But yeah, we're starting to see things pick up a lot, especially on the East Coast. And just a little data point is when it comes to the landscape, California or on the West Coast, we are seeing a differentiator in ticket prices. And in that sense, some of them are lowering their ticket prices to what they used to be able to sell tickets for. Whereas now the West Coast or the East Coast is having higher tiered tickets because maybe there's not that many events happening yet. Maybe it's because there's the hype there. And two, I understand the landscape overhead costs have changed. And in reality, everything's getting taxed more. So event creators need to make sure that they're covering their expenses. I don't want to say people are just doing that to be greedy. I think there's costs analysis happening with event venues, things like that. But we are seeing a differentiator in that. And yeah, but events are happening, and it's really cool to see.
No, yes, I think we just had last week we did our dice mixer, and then for those that are in Chicago, we have our Benziga dice mixer that's tomorrow. And what we're seeing is that this is an amazing way for venues. So if you're a minority owned restaurant, or you have that venue space, you can pivot into the industry without being, hey, I'm Plant Touch. This is one way that you can kind of get your foot in the door by hosting these events. And more people are engaged. I met a lot of people in our dice mixer that came across the event. It would just so happen that it was happening, signed up, and they were just curious, like, oh, this is like a cannabis event for professionals. So then that also is very interesting, because you can also kind of find your level of events. Like I've seen like puff and paints, which I think are such cool, like, event, like date night ideas. Mm-hmm. And then you have like infused dinners, and then you have like your festivals. So it's like, doesn't matter where you are, you can kind of find different things to like integrate with the community. And that's what I love, because I mean, I'm over that age. I know I look very young, but I can't past like 11. Like I really can't.
I feel you.
So I need something that's a little bit more like a seat will be available, more laid back. So I can't hear you well. Like, I don't know. I can't hear well now. So like I can't be yelling over the music. So to find these events that are like art galleries, I came across one that was like an art gallery. I think that those are like amazing and a great way to kind of change the narrative to what is cannabis and culture.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that as well?
Yeah, definitely. I put myself back to kind of when I announced that I was leaving consumer electronic industry and coming to cannabis. I knew it ruffled some feathers in that space. They were like, you're going to lose, you're messing up your career. What are you doing? And I get that. I get it from that side, so these type of events, the ones you're talking about, they are more, they're not intimidating. They do allow for that curious person to come out. Another one is those dinners. It's same thing. It's like this one-on-one, you're with the chef. There's a couple people there, but you get to talk to the chef. The chef educates you on microdosing or how they're infusing. And it's creating those non-intimidating spaces that I think that are very beneficial for allowing more people to connect and learn about this plant. But yeah, we're definitely seeing those a lot.
And it goes back to the whole educational thing. So no matter what, you're being educated. Yep. So it doesn't matter what type of an event you're having, you're educating the community, and you're also giving that space.
Yep.
But tell us about the hottest event that everybody's looking forward to. What are you doing in Vegas?
Yes, I'm so excited. And thank you. We're working very hard behind the scenes. So outside of Event High, I have a different role, a different company, and it's called Blunt Brunch. And our goal is, it's a women empowerment series. We bring in women executives and professionals to come together to have blunt conversations, to have brunch, and to network. And we launched our nationals event. We do this every year. We launched this event 2 years ago in Vegas. It started with 50 women, and then it moved up to last year, 250 women. And this year we're hoping to bring together 400 women together the day before MJ BizCon. Yeah. So we're kicking it off, and it's going to be high vibes. We're going to have entertainers, brunch, engaging blunt conversations, networking downstairs. And the real goal is, to provide a space for women professionals to network, to have these tough conversations. And that's really what we touched in on, blunt conversations. We go in and we we hit conversations that maybe we can't share with our male counterparts or our employees or our team members. Last year was imposter syndrome. This year, it's going to be a conversation about the reality of the market and the challenges we're having, as women. And so yeah, this is going to be kicking off the week before MJ BizCon, or the day before MJ BizCon. And the other thing is, what we're seeing with this event is this is allowing for women to meet women that they are now going to see on the show floor, or they're going to see now at that after party where maybe you don't know as many people, but you met that lady over there across at Blunt Brunch. Now you have somebody you can be friends with, or, you can connect with. And we're seeing that impact at happening that week. So we're counting down and we're working hard behind the scenes to bring in some new entertainment and just bring in some really good wow factors and empowering vibes.
And how can the women find out more information or connect? So if they're out there, and for those that don't know, MJ Unpacked, it's like the Christmas of the industry, I would say. Everybody comes together from all states, and it's a very large trade show. So to have everyone that's traveling at the same time that's in the industry, how are they signing up? How are they attending?
Blunt Brunch, yeah. So you can go to the bluntbrunch.com. That's where you can learn more about the event. You can also find tickets on EventHigh, so eventhigh.io. But bluntbrunch.com is where you can really, dive into the event. We have ticket opportunities there. We have sponsorship opportunities available. We also, to produce these events, there's an overhead there. And so we understand that the ticket price may be a little bit high. And so we also offer a opportunity to get in a ticket for free. So we do want as many women to come as possible. We don't want the ticket price to not allow them to experience this. We know the importance is to lift each other up, and we've all started as a startup. I know what it's like to have to, maybe do trays or something to attend an event. And so we wanted to make sure that the ticket price isn't going to deter anyone from attending. So we have opportunities for all women executives and professionals at any stage to join us. So check it out at bluntbrunch.com to learn more.
I love that, because I think, I'm coming from the legal field, so it's always been where maybe one female partner and then everybody else has to fight when there's hundreds of other males. Yeah. So to change the narrative of women where we can actually help each other instead of cutthroating each other is really nice, because now we can be the one in the room with hundreds of women, and then maybe we might let that one supportive man in.
Yeah, exactly. We love our allies, as long as they respect what we're talking about and really listen and learn. But we need our space too. So this is definitely an event for women to come together, be vulnerable, but also build relationships and even dance a little bit. We have some dancing too. So it's all the things.
I said I wasn't going to go, but maybe I might. But I do have it on my bucket list. But if we're not going to MJ BizCon, do you host these nationwide? Are they just in Arizona, California? How else can we attend these blunts and brunches? I would love one in Miami.
I know it's on the map. We're trying to get over there. So, the past couple years we have expanded Blunt Brunch. We host kind of monthly or quarterly events. They're smaller events. They are more intimate. So they're for about 30 to 50 women. Usually it's at a restaurant. We have brunch and again, a blunt conversation, or we do an activity. We're hosting one called Rolling with the Queens. And that's going to be where we go roller skating. We do different activities. Now, these events so far have been in San Diego, Phoenix, Tucson, and Las Cruces in New Mexico. However, next year we want to definitely try to host more on the East Coast. We don't know what that looks like yet, but we've got a lot of requests for Miami, or for Florida as a whole. We wanted to also do a little bit more on the Northeast coast as well. So between whether Jersey or New York or Michigan, we're still trying to figure it out. But the plan is to do a little bit more hopping around next year, so that, again, then we always end the year in Vegas at the end of the year, but we try to do a little bit more traveling next year. So fingers crossed. Hopefully we can make it down to Florida.
And then from there, we have to make a pivot to Puerto Rico.
Yes, that one definitely. Yeah, yep, exactly.
We have to do like a women's retreat over there.
I like that idea. That has been, that definitely, I think would go really well with getting us all to Puerto Rico. If we can make it a retreat, then hopefully more can attend too.
Yes. And then I know you also, because you wear so many hats. So let's kind of go quickly over all your many hats. You're also with organization for women's businesses. Mm-hmm. And you also, this is how I know Adelia, because I know her very well, with This Is Project, because Adelia apparently has more than 24 hours in her day, unlike the rest of us. But she is so hardworking and in so many different organizations. So tell us a little bit more about everything that you do, because you do a lot for us.
Well, it takes one to know one. You inspire me. We speak it through together, right? But I am on the advisory board of the International Cannabis Businesswomen's Association, ICBWA. And that is a nonprofit that is to support and empower women in businesses in the cannabis industry. They actually are a global network, so they have a community of global women that they're empowering to build businesses and help them grow. Then I'm also a board member of This Is Jane Project, which really is something that came near and dear to my heart once I realize that in a way I am a Jane, and I wanted to volunteer and show and help where I could. There's one other board that I'm on. It's called Lift Events and Experiences. This is a big conference that launched in Canada, and they started hosting a couple events in the US. And so I really just, I like to stay busy, but I like to put my energy into organizations that I feel are doing good, or making an impact in some way. And each of those have a different component, from women entrepreneurship to, mental health and awareness, and then to obviously the event landscape. So they're three pillars of what really drives me. And I enjoy putting my time into those.
Yes. And for those of you, if you haven't heard of This Is Jane Project, I mean, this is like the one thing that I can probably, stretch myself out thin and be like, I can't do this or that or here. But This Is Jane Project, I always make sure I have time for, because it's such an amazing space for women to kind of come together. I call them my Tesla power charger, because you can be like completely drained. Mm-hmm. And to come together with all the Janes that we work with, Delia, Axel, it's so great. And it's such a different vibe and energy from like the hustle and bustle of like working. Because we connect with so many people, and it's always like work-driven conversations. Like, hey, how are you doing? Okay, this is what we need. But This Is Jane is like that space, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful because then that's how we really connected. Yeah. So go follow them. We have an event tomorrow. Yes. Adelia, any last minute things you want to share with us? How we can find you? How we can, I don't think we touched on how we can put one of our events through your platform. So if we want to engage more with that community.
Yeah. Well, to learn more about Event High, you can go to www.eventhigh.io. And there you can easily, create an account and also create an event within minutes. This allows you can create an event that's for free event tickets or paid tickets. You can also sell sponsorships now on Event High. We really are building a community for event creators, event goers, and brands to really, help further everyone coming together through the event ecosystem. So go definitely check out eventhigh.io. And outside of that, I'm on Instagram. You can find Adelia Carrillo and anywhere on LinkedIn as well. But definitely check out eventhigh.io, see what events are happening near you, or, hopefully if you're hosting an event, you can check us out to post your event on there.
It was so amazing to have you on.
Yes.
And I'm glad we were able to do this because I really enjoyed seeing you and spending time with you. But just learning about all the things that you do, because you do so much in this industry, and just wanted to give you your flowers while you were here. But please go ahead, follow Adelia. And if you're in Chicago, make sure that you tune in to our dice mixer that will be tomorrow, Wednesday at 6:00. You can visit our page for that. We have Cultura Elevada the second Tuesday of every month. So be sure to follow us and stay tuned for all our upcoming events, and make sure that if you're in Vegas for MJ Unpacked, no, I'm sorry, for MJ BizCon. I get the two confused all the time.
There's a lot happening right now. It's our busiest time. So there's conferences left and right. You're going to Bazinga.
Yes. It's so crazy because they pack everything into actually the year just really goes by because it's like you do all these events now. Yep. Then I feel like you're preparing for 420.
Yep.
And then from 420, you're getting ready for the summer. And then it's like you're starting again. But yes, if you're in the industry, this is like the busiest time for you. But thank you so much, Adelia, for being with us. Please make sure to follow us, share this so we can get this information out to everyone. And make sure you go ahead and you follow Adelia and eventhigh.io. So it's going to be part of today's conversation. Thank you, money. We do this for the people so that way we can bring this material out and so we can have more representation. Because if there's one thing I learned this week is that representation matters, and to see more people within your community succeed and trailblaze, it just kind of makes, hey, if I could do it, you could do it. Why not?
Yeah, thank you, Mariela, so much. It was really a great conversation. I wish we could do it more in person, but eventually we'll manifest that.
Oh, yes. I'm going to have you coming either to Florida or we're going to have to go out to Puerto Rico. Yes, I'm totally for like a This Is Jane retreat. I can picture us with coconuts down by the beach doing some breath work.
Yeah,
I'm all for that.
Me too.
Well, thank you so much, everyone that joined us, and we will catch you all next month in October for Cultura Elevada. Gracias por asistir.